Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Ashish Luitel, the lead technical program manager for the public sector security at N-able. Ashish, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, Justin, for having me.
It's a really good time to be having this conversation because we know that obviously CMMC has been slowly rolling out across DoD since November when those requirements first went into place. And while they're taking a phased approach and kind of ramping up, I think the Cyber AB reports that as of earlier this year, roughly 1,000 companies have already been through one of those level 2 third-party assessments. And so there's certainly a lot of learning going on, I'm sure. And I'm curious, from your perspective, what are some of the main challenges that organizations face today in complying with those cybersecurity requirements evaluated under CMMC?
Organizations are not failing CMMC because they lack controls. They are failing because they cannot prove they have one. So the challenge usually is not understanding the requirements there. It's demonstrating that controls are operating consistently over time in the way CMMC demands, right? So many organizations there, they have invested heavily in security, different kind of tools and programs, but it still cannot quickly produce those evidences that assessors require. And that disconnect between investment and the proof is the evidence gap. That's what I call it. And it carries real business consequences because it delays the contracts, it increases the audit cost, and sometimes it might get lost the deals.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because obviously companies have been investing in cybersecurity to some degree, but this is one of those programs where it's the first time they're having to demonstrate it in a really kind of complete approach. What are some of the common gaps, the specific gaps that you see in either cybersecurity controls or demonstrating those controls? Where do you see companies struggle?
The gaps that sink organizations, they don't usually show up on paper, they show up on operations. What we see most often is not missing controls, but missing proof that those controls were operating consistently over time. Logs, they exist, but retention is not clearly defined there. Reports exist, but no one can show they were reviewed over the time. Standards, they may exist and exist there with the investment they have been putting, but enforcement varies by team and system, right? Environments often start out compliant, then slowly they drift without anyone capturing or even validating the changes. So baseline may be documented once, but there is no recurring validation showing they remained in force. In practice, the gap is almost always the same. Organizations, they can point to the control, but they cannot prove it was operating over time in a way the assessor or auditor can validate it. A simple example I can give here is about the log review. A policy, they may say logs are reviewed weekly, and a platform may be generating logs, but that alone does not satisfy the assessment. What an assessor looks like in this case is evidence of a repeatable process, for example, or recording reports tied to ticket or record, and that has been resolved with named reviewer, documented findings, and maybe follow-up actions or when issues were identified, right? Without that chain, the organization can prove, yes, logging exists, but they cannot prove the review process is actually happening.
That's really an interesting example there. I mean, we know managed service providers, MSPs, are going to play a big role under the CMMC program in helping companies bridge some of these gaps and comply with CMMC so they can continue to do business with the Defense Department. How do you see some of those common challenges that you've highlighted impacting those MSPs?
For MSPs, these gaps are not isolated problems, they multiply. MSPs are not managing a single environment or a single assessment, right? They are supporting multiple clients, multiple evidence sets, and multiple assessors' expectations at the same time. What breaks down quickly is inconsistency. If evidence is handled differently across customers, assessments become unpredictable and very risky at the same time, not just for the customers, but for the MSPs as well. So MSPs need repeatable, client-ready ways to generate kind of evidences that holds up under the review, not just internal dashboards or screenshots. For example, an MSP using N-Central may already have centralized visibility into patching, access activity, and alerts across the customers. That capability is very valuable, but risk appears when each client defines retention, review, and remediation differently. One customer document reviews another customers that does not exist, right? One tracks follow-up actions, another relies on verbal confirmation. So when that happens, evidence becomes fragmented and assessments slow down or even fail. In practice, MSPs, they often end up building the operational process that enables evidence generation in the first place. But that's why this consistency is not just about helpful, but it is more critical in scaling compliance without scaling the risk.
So, Ashish, we've covered a lot of the challenges. We know that at this point in time, there are thousands of companies in the defense industrial base who are closely paying attention and closely working on how they are going to comply with CMMC as these requirements start to ramp up. So, what are your recommendations for what organizations should do differently to get ahead of some of the issues you've identified?
That's a great question. And to get ahead of these requirements, they have to stop treating evidences as something they generate for an audit, and they start treating it as a natural output of how they operate every day. The shift required is operational. Evidence has to be produced continuously through routine processes, as we discussed earlier, not assembled at the last minute. That means designing day-to-day IT and security workflows. So evidence is created as work happens. Logs are reviewed, decisions are documented, and follow-ups are tracked as part of the normal operations. Platforms like N-Central help by standardizing this kind of visibility, supporting recurring reporting, and reducing the manual effort required to stay audit ready. In practice, teams that automate compliance reporting often reduce manual evidences collection by 10 or more hours per assessment cycle. That is huge help because those artifacts assessors need are already being generated as part of the normal operations. MDR capabilities such as Adlumen also support documented detection and response workflows, making it easier to show how incidents are identified and triaged and also resolved. Right now, it's important to be very precise here about roles and responsibilities. These platforms, they help make compliance operationally sustainable. They make it easier to execute consistently, but disciplines remains essential here because under the N-Central Shared Responsibility Model, the SRM, the platform provides built-in audit logging and operational visibility, things like user activity, configuration changes, alert history, but the MSP or the customer will own the retention, review, and action of those. With MDR capabilities like Adlumen, the security events may be generated automatically, but the organization still has to demonstrate triage decisions, the investigations, and remediation. That distinction, confusing capabilities with the responsibility is where many organizations misunderstand the compliance. So when the auditors ask, show me your log review process, the question is not whether logs exist. It's whether the organizations can demonstrate a defined process, consistent review, and documented action over time. I break this into three categories. First, documentary evidence, policies and procedure. Second, configuration evidences, proof the control is deployed. Third, operational evidences, proof the control has executed, reviewed, and acted over time. Most organizations are comfortable with the first two. The third is where assessments typically fail because it requires sustained operational discipline, not just the configuration snapshots.
So, Ash, I think we have just a little under 6 months until this really starts to become a reality because November is when these level 2 requirements under CMMC start to become standard across defense contracts. And so, what are you watching as DoD ramps up kind of from this transition from self-attestation to third-party independent validation?
I'm watching whether organizations truly understand that this shift to CMMC level 2 is not about paperwork, it's about how they operate. The organizations that struggle will be the ones treating certification as something you prepare for in months leading up to an assessment. That approach worked under self-attestation that is going on right now. It does not work under the independent validation that goes into effect November this year. What matters now is whether an organization has been operating in a way that naturally produces evidences over time, consistent log reviews, tracked remediation, documented decision making, and repeatable governance routines. Those behaviors are what assessors validate. So organizations that already operate this way tend to move through this validation quickly and predictably. Organizations that wait to build these capabilities face longer timeline, higher cost, delayed contract, and also significantly more assessment risk.
Okay, well, some great considerations there. Again, I'd like to thank today's guest. Ashish Luitel is the lead technical program manager for public sector security at N-able. Ashish, thank you so much.
Thank you again.
And I'm Justin Doubleday. You're watching the Risk and Compliance Exchange on Federal News Network.